All right. Why AAA studios hate finishing their games. Oh, baby.
Wake the up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
T-pose.
Why can't AAA studios finish their games? Almost.
Because they suck and they need to spend more time on the store and the battle pass and the paid cosmetics and the super premium version and the giga premium version, and they need to plan out their patches on how they're going to fix the game later, because the product they just delivered to you is probably barely good enough to be called a beta. So they got to plan out their major fix patches later in the months, so they can't be bothered to fix the game now. That's why they hate finishing their games. All right.
Almost everything you see nowadays is buggy and unplayable.
Yeah,
True.
with depth of field off, things look much better. What is that?
Lacking entire game modes promised by developers.
PvE as we knew it.
Lacking entire game modes. Hell, what was it? Battlefield forgot to put in the scoreboard. And then Overwatch forgot to put in the PvE.
It has been canceled.
Or missing basic features like a scoreboard.
Yep.
EA considers scoreboards and voice chat legacy features.
Legacy features. Wow. I wonder how long it took them to figure out how to create that term. You know, they're probably all sitting there at the round table, the Monday meeting. All right, boys, we're not going to be able to put these things in the game. Why is that? Okay, here, let's brainstorm. Let's figure out some words. Well, it was in games that we played in the past. So it happened a long time ago, The games that those were in, those were a legacy. All right? They were also a feature of that game. It wasn't a core gameplay piece of the game. It wasn't integral, but it was a feature. So, how about we call it a legacy feature that was in old games that we couldn't possibly fathom to put in now? Hey, that's old stuff. The scoreboard, nah, that's old. Voice communication, nah, that's old. Who wants those things? It's all about the experience. It's all about the experience.
It's like these AAA companies are competing to make the worst game, doing whatever.
True. That is actually true. How many features can they just withhold from the game on day one, only to give it back to you months, if not years later?
Whatever possible to piss off their players.
Just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
But believe it or not, it's
Oh, that
not
sucks.
the intention of the development teams to release unfinished games. They want to make great experiences like Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom. Unfortunately, developers themselves are often bigger victims than the players. The cause of all these unfinished games is something deeper, something rooted in the very nature of modern video games themselves. And from what I've found...
Bro, we got whistleblowers coming out saying that there's UFOs and aliens. All right? Why can't we have some game developer whistleblowers coming out saying these guys are forcing us to withhold features because money? Why can't we have some of those guys, What, because they'll lose their jobs? Oh, okay. I'm kidding.
Every single garbage AAA game can be traced back to 2002 with the release of Unreal Championship.
Oh.
You guys remember this game?
Yeah.
I didn't. I remember playing Unreal Tournament, but I had no idea there was an Xbox version. But this game...
Yeah, I was horrible at it.
Because when it came out, there were a few bugs. You could leave the map, the rifle had issues, and the teams needed some balancing. But the game was out. There was no fixing to be done.
Mhm.
This was 2002. At the time, bugs are just a part of the game experience, like wave dashing in Melee or the infinite staircase glitch in Super Mario 64. The game was to be played as is, bugs and all, or so we thought. For the first time in history, a console game received an update. Epic Games patched Unreal Championship using the internet.
We're riding on the internet.
And there is the start of it. The game that started the precedence of fixing your game after it was released. Oh my God. Unreal Tournament did it. There wasn't too much backlash. I guess it's okay to release a shitty game now.
Even though this update doesn't feel like a big deal, it was the first domino in the path of thousands. Each year, internet updates just got bigger and better. Console stores were introduced, and you can now buy fully digital games. All of a sudden, hardware games were becoming a relic of the past, treating more like a game key than an actual game, with most having 80 gig updates the moment you popped it in your console.
Oh yeah, 100 gigs? Oh my God. Like I remember in, what was it, Warzone 1? It got up to 500 gigs to the point where it was the only game that could fit on a console, which is hilarious.
Oh my goodness!
In the matter of 10 years, we went from self-hosted games sold on cartridges and CDs
Is a deadly donut.
to purchasing a large majority of our games through a digital store.
And still, you don't even own these games on Steam or whatever store. Because if Steam goes under and they just go bankrupt and all this shit, you don't own any of this stuff. It's just on lease, you know? As long as Steam is doing good, you got it.
And the rise of digital games is great for many reasons. They cost nothing to manufacture, shipping no longer exists, and distribution is just a click. I mean, without the digital world, we wouldn't have indie games because there's no way 99% of indie studios could pay for manufacturing and distribution. So developers and gamers benefit hugely from digital stores like Steam. However, the digital game also brought about the fall of companies like GameStop.
Oh yeah, this was hilarious. And before it was GameStop, it was EB Games, Electronic Boutique Games. I have so many wonderful memories at EB Games. Bunch of in-store tournaments, times where I would go back and try to return a game that I beat within a week, only to be faced with a $10 return fee or something. Like, oh, we'll give you $10 for it, and then we're gonna sell it for $55 instead of $60. Well, saw how well that turned out.
Why doesn't she just respawn?
And introduce what I'm going to call software games. Now, I can already hear one of you clicking in the comments saying something like,
"Hey, damn, you buffoon. All games are software."
Which is true,
Yeah.
but hear me out. When I say software games, I'm not talking about how they are developed, but how they are treated. I've spent many years in the world of software, from running my own software company to consulting hundreds of others. And when you start this type of company, there's a tried and true process. Find a problem, validate that problem, and then build a solution. And when you build that solution, it needs to be bare bones. Keep it as simple as possible, referred to as the MVP or minimum viable product. But the moment that MVP is proven and successful, then you can add more features and expand your market. Think Facebook. When Facebook released, it started out as a simple social media platform for...
Yes, but what framework did Facebook have to go off of that games had none? So like Facebook was MySpace out at about the same time Facebook, or was it not? I don't actually remember the time. Like Facebook coming out with all these like bare bones features, and then years and years later adding more and more features to that is going to be used as the example, but because there was no other real social media at the time, so this was the standard. Games, there have been a bunch of games about the same time Facebook came out, or whatever what's the game you used before, like Unreal Tournament or whatever, there was a bunch of games before Unreal Tournament that got released and was a feature complete game. And that was the standard. It just so happens with the more you add time to like the gaming industry, AAA developers, now like there's no such thing as a feature complete game anymore. Because the standard used to be the game is complete on release. Now the game isn't even, damn near nowhere near being close to a beta on release. So it's just devolved. Whereas for Facebook, there was no standard. Games had a standard. Facebook had no standard.
Harvard, functioning like an online directory. Harvard students flocked to it. The Facebook team realized they had something, so they expanded to other Ivy League schools like Yale, Columbia, and Stanford, adding more features as they went along. 2005 hits, and thousands of schools are using Facebook.
Now we're up to 575
Dang.
or so schools,
Young Zuck.
expanding at about 65 schools a week for the rest of the school year.
So the platform added more features like poking.
Grandma said she poked you and you haven't sent a poke back.
Dad, I didn't even
Bro, I remember pokes. That was the funniest shit, man.
want to do.
Stan, poke your grandma.
Then in 2006, Facebook opened up to the public, taking its first huge step towards becoming the behemoth it is today, with all the features imaginable on a social media platform. This is the industry standard, with book after book pushing this process. Get your software to market as quickly as possible, get feedback from customers to iterate and fix bugs, then repeat. But this model doesn't work with AAA games.
No.
You can't push something out half-baked and fix it as time goes on. Games aren't like these software platforms where you release a janky product and slowly get more customers as the product improves. If a game launch is riddled with bugs or doesn't have much content, people move on. It's like Halo Infinite. 6 years into the making, $500 million in development, and upon release, it felt like I was playing a Halo tech demo. The game had millions of players when it came out, and now averages a fraction of that. The game
Oh yeah, this is like embarrassing for Halo. I remember Halo 1 riding out to my friend's house with my green Halo Edition Xbox, playing the Halo LAN parties with him, his brother, his sister, his mom and his dad, and his aunts and uncles, doing the Halo LAN party in the living room, the bedroom, the other bedroom, and everyone bantering and cajoling, having a bunch of fun, not connected to the internet. I can't imagine how many people had that experience. And now, this is what Halo is reduced to. 24-hour peak, 6.5K. God dang. This is sad.
finally feels finished a year later, but it's too late. The amount of people it lost kills me. I still play weekly, and
why did that happen? It's because people's initial impression of the game is what's going to stand out to them the most. If your game isn't good on day one, in the player's mind, they're not going to come back to it. It doesn't matter how long it takes to get good, how fast you make it, like repair it to make it good. If the game isn't good on day one, there's almost no reason for a gamer to come back and revisit it to go, oh, is the game good yet? Is the game good yet? All right, now that's probably a thing because AAA games are dog shit in general. But that's not a good thing.
as a longtime Halo fan, I can't believe they botched the release. This is a major problem at modern AAA studios, and one of the main reasons AAA no longer holds to the going gold standard. They treat their games like software, with the idea of release now and finish later. This is...
Oh yeah, this is horrible. This is a horrible mindset to have. I can't tell you. So if this is their mindset, then me as a 30-something-year-old dude will adopt the mindset of, oh, I'll just buy it on sale a year later. That's what my mindset is. If you're going to change and evolve your mindset on finishing games, me as a consumer is going to change my mindset as well. I will purchase the game at a far later date at a far reduced price. Preferably, the game will probably have, been on sale by that time, okay? Just look at Diablo 4. Aren't they going like 25%? Like, oh, it's on sale, 25%. Oh, season 1 isn't even over yet. Oh my god. God, I was a sucker for buying that shit on day one.
One of the reasons why developers release their games unfinished. But at least games like Halo are free to play. It's not like they launched Infinite unfinished with a $60 price tag. I mean, that would be criminal to market a game as completed and then sell it unfinished. Pushing out free incomplete games is one thing, but charging $60, $70 for this?
Yep.
They know the game isn't done. They know they are burning bridges with their players. What could you possibly gain by deceiving your community with a $70 unfinished game? Good old money. The answer to everything. Except in this scenario, it's not just money from game sales, it's something else. Let me break it down with Anthem. This game began development in 2012 and released in 2019. 7 years.
You know, I was kind of excited for Anthem because I saw the marketing, you know, you're more or less like Iron Man. You got this little suit on and you're just blasting around the planet or the map or whatever. You got these big, awesome explosions, lasers. The movement looked pretty good and so on and so forth. But I don't know. I just saw the reviews for it and I was just taken aback. I wasn't interested in it anymore. It's like, oh, there's all these bugs. There's no, like, the game loop is dog shit. Okay, maybe it'll get better, maybe at a later date. And then I just stopped paying attention to it.
Of development, but relatively 5.5 of those years are spent in pre-production, which means the developers had 1.5 years to develop the game. Not easy. And as they dive into development, the team realizes that most of the pre-production work isn't possible. Ideas are scrapped and the game is changed. Team leads at BioWare realize the game isn't ready and ask EA to push back the game release. EA, of course, says
nope.
And it comes out February 2019. It isn't good. The game is a mess and people are angry.
It looks like the programming is now so destroyed, it is actually bricking a PlayStation 4's.
Player count drops off in a matter of weeks and the game is dying. But it doesn't matter.
2,500.
Because the game goes on to make over $100 million. EA got exactly what they wanted. This is another reason why companies release unfinished games. Too much time was spent making Anthem. So EA wanted to move resources to other projects and make back their money. Who cares about the game? It's not like it's art. Just release the game and move on, BioWare.
No.
No.
Make your money, whore.
EA determined that any additional time spent fixing Anthem just wasn't worth the cost. So they cut development, marketed the crap out of it, and recouped their investment. Why spend more time and money on a game like Anthem that only makes $100 million when you could focus instead on developing FIFA Ultimate Packs and make over $1 billion?
Oh yeah, the people that play this game and spend massive amounts of money on packs have like 2 brain cells. Ugh.
And this isn't even the worst part. EA and BioWare's approach to Anthem didn't just hurt gamers, but hurt the developers too. Many employees working on Anthem reported having mental breakdowns from working long days and late nights, subjugated to the almighty crunch.
By himself? I was supposed to take the whole team 4 days.
It's amazing.
And for those that don't know what crunch is, it's when a company mandates its game be completed by a deadline, no matter what. So developer work weeks go from 40 hours.
Yeah, this is stupid that this is actually a thing.
To 80 hours. Weekends are treated like normal work days and families are just pushed to the side. Crunch exists in many industries, but because of heavy development cycles and specific release windows, lots of money can be lost in the video game industry if targets aren't hit. Infinite, for example, was pushed back, but Microsoft still had to fulfill their marketing contracts, so we ended up with all sorts of Halo promotions, even though the game wouldn't release for another year. Some might say, well, it sucks, but it's just the reality. Crunch is a necessary part of development, but this is a lie you've been sold. Crunch is not only...
Yeah, this is the biggest lie. Like, developers should not have to go through emotional damage just to make a game. Like, this is ridiculous.
Unnecessary, but inefficient and unproductive. And a GDC talk about crunch, Ian Schreiber explains that those who are sleep deprived and overworked show the same symptoms and cognitive ability of those who are intoxicated, causing a large decrease in output. And if you can't trust an intoxicated person to walk in a straight line...
10. All right, well, you got a pretty good balance there.
Thank you.
You definitely can't trust them to solve a multifaceted, complex problem. Who would have thought that lack of sleep, increased anxiety, and no breaks would lead to poor outcomes?
Oh my God, who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? Oh my God.
Where performing the same tasks in a calm, methodical way would lead to positive outcomes.
Duh.
So obviously, crunch is unproductive, and it's been a problem at EA and other game studios for many years. But if science, common intuition, and incomplete games all show crunch doesn't work, then why does it keep happening? Leadership.
Leadership, and that is a good question. I want to hear.
It's no surprise that bad leaders equal bad outcomes. But what's interesting is when you have leaders who are trying to be good, but still release a game buggy and incomplete. This, for me, stems from teams being too big to succeed. Look at this graphic. As you add more team members, you drastically increase communication channels, causing more time spent in meetings instead
It's a pentagram.
of working. Or this graphic, which shows the more participants on a project, less effort is delivered. So
Oh, dang, too many cooks in the kitchen.
even though you have a team of 8 people, you're really only getting the output of maybe 4 people. Or this graphic, which shows an individual's performance drastically falling off once you pass 6, 7 people. Larger teams just don't work. Even Amazon, probably one of the biggest companies in terms of employees, is known for its 2 pizza rule, with Jeff Bezos famously stating,
Try to.
Oh God, I have never seen this interview at all, but whatever he's about to say, it's probably not going to sound good.
Create teams that are no larger than can be fed with 2 pizzas.
Overwatch is a perfect example of this.
Okay, I was wrong.
The first game had roughly 50 to 100 developers working on the game before release, each person working within 5 disciplines: audio, art, engineering, production, and design. This makes sense. Each discipline would have 2 to 4 departments. Art would have concept art, 3D models, VFX, and animations. Audio would have music and sound design, and then engineering, production, and design would follow a similar pattern, with each having 2 to 3 departments themselves. Overall, the Overwatch development team would have an estimated 14 separate teams. At 75 developers and with 14 teams, each team would have an average of 5 to 6 members, with team leads being in their own additional teams of 2 to 4. This is a great 2-pizza structure, and is a prominent reason why the first Overwatch was actually done and polished on release. Teams could communicate effectively and understand their job intrinsically. Now look at Overwatch 2's development team. As of November 2022, there are over 300 developers on the team. And according to the Overwatch wiki, the team size expanded in order to cover the development of free-to-play.
So wait, let me get this straight. They had more people working on OW2, and they still couldn't get the PvE out? What? That doesn't make sense. Bro, the game was literally just copy pasted. You're telling me that you couldn't just copy paste the game and have like at least half the team, if not more, working on the PvE stuff instead of breaking it down and selling it to the people like in little chunks of like what it is right now? $15 for like 2 hours of gameplay.
3 times the developers on Overwatch 2, and this is what we got.
This is more like Overwatch 1.1.
Oh, and don't forget, they canceled the PvE because of needing to move resources. Sound familiar?
That's
there are
ridiculous.
too many reasons why modern games come out unfinished, and I hope these companies can learn.
Oh, don't bring Redfall in. What did Redfall do? What did Redfall do wrong besides everything?
From all these mistakes. But this lack of finished AAA games are opening the door for indie games to shine. And in my next video, I'm going to show exactly how an indie game with only 3 developers was able to succeed.
Is that BattleBit?
Because of the failure of an unfinished game. So subscribe if you want to see that video, or check out our video on how bad games trick you into buying them. All right, everyone, we have our indie game spotlight to finish up. This week, our Discord server chose Astroneer, a stunning space game with all sorts of biomes and planets to visit. Like to chill with your buddies while you explore a solar system, love crafting or collecting resources, this is the game for you. Go snag yourself a copy.
All right.
And join our Discord to choose what
I'm gonna
game
check it
we should
out.
feature next.
Yeah, this is a nice little short and sweet video. This was nice. Yeah, this just re-emphasizes what I already knew. Teams are getting bigger. People are putting in more or less effort because the teams are getting bigger. And yeah, and essentially it's not essentially the devs' fault. It's the people above the devs, the publishers, big boy EA, and things like that, you know. I mean, hey, the best thing I could say, if you're like a casual gamer or whatever, just wait. Try not to splurge or hype yourself up if you got like your favorite game coming out from some AAA dev. Just give it like a week or so, dude. Because, I mean, if anything, I don't know. It's your money. You can do with it whatever you want, man. I'm just saying what I do. That's all it is. But yeah, I mean, I liked the video. It was good. I want to see more. So that's pretty much it, guys. All right. Take it easy. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.